everyone, this is Aurora with Supercharged Science, Homeschool Science Curriculum for K through 12, and I thought I would just share with you some of the top, well, I picked 5, but I'm probably going to come up with more as we talk, the things you want to think about before you start homeschooling your kid this year. Now, whether you're new to homeschooling or whether you are returning to it after having a summer or you never took a break at all, take a look at these or listen to these tips and see what you think about them. And this is just from my personal experience. I encourage you to share it with others, take what you like and just run with it. Okay, so number 1 is a lot of people feel like when they homeschool, they have to be experts. And the truth is, nothing could be further from the truth. You don't have to be experts. What you do need to be is your kid's biggest fan, your biggest cheerleader. You also have to be good at being resourceful. So you don't have to know science, for example, but you have to know 10 places where you can find these resources, see which one may be a perfect match for your kid. So that's my first tip. So you just need to be resourceful. And my guess is that you already are. And so that should be not hard to do. For example, in my little town here, it's a college town of San Luis Obispo. It's a Cal Poly is here. There's 20,000 students. Over the summer, there's no, like the population goes down by half. So it's not, in the past, it hasn't been this hotbed of interesting facts and like lots of, like New York City would be, for example, like big cities. But if you know where to look, you can find all kinds of things. In fact, 15 years ago, before people really knew about San Luis Obispo, I could take my kids for train rides. I could connect them with the radio astronomers. I could connect them with the marine biology folks that were out at Avila Beach. So you just have to be resourceful and know where to look. So that's my first tip. Well, the second one is in traditional classrooms, you have learning and you have playtime. And there's no mix in between. Now, this is the joy of homeschooling, isn't it? I mean, playtime equals learning. I mean, kids learn best when they're open, when they're excited, when they're having fun, right? So you can just make your house into a giant science museum that the kid, like the fun kind, the hands-on one, not the stuff behind glass that nobody can touch. And they could totally have a total blast and learn more science in a week than they would learn in a whole month in a regular environment at school. So just keeping the fun and the learning going just through play, through imagination, through discovery, because that's what, for example, of what science is. Math is the same way. A lot of stuff was discovered in math by just people just being curious and passionate about it. So that's the kind of thing you want to cultivate in your homeschooling environment. Oh, by the way, if you just joined us, my name's Aurora, Supercharged Science. If you like what you're hearing and you want more, just check out my website, www.superchargedscience.com. I can totally do the teaching education for you. And so we have a lot of really cool resources on my website, on my Instagram, YouTube, you name it, it's on there. Okay, so we're top tips for your homeschool year. So the next one is socialization. Now, a lot of folks that that don't really understand homeschooling feel that, have a fear that, well, kids aren't going to be socialized, you're just going to be one-on-one with mom like all the time, or one-on-one with who's ever educating. Could be dad, could be an aunt or a grandparent, whoever it is, and then that's it. But the truth is that, while that can happen, typically what we find that the best, most well-rounded homeschoolers have a huge opportunity. For example, we've got 10-year-olds that are writing books. We've got 11-year-olds that are running businesses. It's because they have access to so many other resources by these amazing, resourceful parents. And so if you do keep your kid locked in a box, they're going to stay locked in a box. But if you're bringing them to the grocery store, if you're bringing them to the farmer's market that you're going to, if you involve them with your life and show them how you do life, that's what they're going to learn. Make sense? For example, I would take my kids with me to farmer's market. And they were also learning Spanish at the same time. And they were doing math and all kinds of stuff. So I said, all right, I would give them the money and I would give them the list. And each kid had their own little list, and the one that couldn't read was like pictures on the list. It was easy. And so for the older ones, I would say, okay, this is what I need. Stick to your budget. You've only got 20 bucks. So they would go around and find the best deal, right? That's useful in life. And then I would say, if you order in Spanish, because a lot of the farmers at the farmers markets here also are Hispanic or can speak Spanish. So wherever you are, I'm sure there's another language that's available. But for us, it's Spanish. And I said, if you order in Spanish and you get the change right, you can keep whatever up to $1, up to 99 cents. So just the coin part. And to like a fourth grader, this is really exciting. They now have a way to earn an income. So this is where you can, with traditional education, they compartmentalize things. You know, you've got, okay, now it's time for reading. Okay, now it's time for math. Now it's time for Spanish. But the world isn't compartmentalized like that. There are so many things that are woven together, and you do this naturally as a parent, as a grown-up in your life. And the more your kids are exposed to that, the easier this is going to become. So we were talking about socialization. So there are tons of resources out there. If your kids are interested in robotics, I'm going to give a shout out to Vex Robotics right now. Get your kids interested and doing a Vex Robotics team, VEX. You can look it up. Somebody type it in right now in the comments for me. VEX Robotics. My kids participated in the World Championships. They won regionals. And actually they are working, they're too old to participate because they're in high school. So this is like for 8th grade and lower. They're actually releasing competition plans and how to host your own Vex robot competition, how to start your own team, because there's not a lot of resources out there. So you can get your kids interested. So if they're interested in robotics, you can do that. If they're interested in airplanes, the Young Eagles program is all over the United States. Get them in an airplane in a cockpit with a real pilot and go flying. So the socialization, so if they're into animals and caring for and gardening, you can get them involved in a 4-H. 4-H has like everything, right? So there's a ton of resources. So socialization only happens when you keep kids in a box, and that can happen in school as well, not just in homeschooling environments. So get your kids out there, show them and share with them how you do life. All right, next one is, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, so I have a couple more. So let me just say, homeschooling, it's not easy. You often see these pictures of like smiling moms and the kids are smiling and they're both looking at a book and their house is totally clean and like everybody, mom has her makeup on and her teeth brushed. Now, if you've ever homeschooled, you know it's hard, and most days don't look like that 1950s types of pictures where everything is like super perfect. And you know that that's not the point. Homeschooling is real. It's about that connection with you and your child and sharing what you know with them and the best way that they can learn. So it's not perfect, and don't expect it to be like that. So that would be one of my tips. And so you are totally qualified to homeschool. So don't let anybody tell you different. If you are passionate about it, if you're organized, there are tons of resources you can look up. You can do it. If it's important enough to you, you'll figure out a way. And in fact, if you want to know a secret, you've been homeschooling since your kid was 0. Think about it. Does your kid know how to walk? Do they know how to talk? If they can walk and talk, they didn't do that because you picked out a curriculum. They did it because they modeled you. They are doing what you do, right? Same thing with homeschooling. So, which leads me to my 5th point. Are we on 5? I hope we're on 5. I don't know if I can count this morning, but leads me to the most important. If you don't remember anything else I've said, this is the one you want to remember. The 5th thing you need to, this is the one that most people skip. And when I ask them a question, they stand there with a blank look on their face. They're like, I haven't thought about that before. Okay, so this is probably the most important thing with homeschooling. You have to know what your educational goals are. I mean, think about it. An airplane that's taking off from Los Angeles, if he doesn't know that he's on his way to New York, he might wind up in Texas, or he might wind up in another country. You have to know where you're going, and don't make it a moving target or you will never get there. So, for example, some people you might pick an educational goal like, hey, I want my kids just to be interested and excited about the world around them. And say you've got, what's your educational goals for science? I just want them to be interested and excited. Okay, great. So now you can pick a curriculum that will do that for you. Maybe it has a lot of hands-on experiments. Maybe it's full of all kinds of interesting facts. Lots of things like that. So if your goal is, I want my kid to get into Harvard next year, you're going to pick a different curriculum. You know, it probably is going to be an AP level. It's going to have accelerated learning. It's going to have all kinds of different things. So you have to know what your educational goals are. And it's different for every kid, and it's different for every family. Does that make sense? Okay, so, and I just wanted to reiterate, homeschooling is not 8 hours a day. A lot of time is spent in school, at least from the kids' perspective. It's not 8 hours a day, because a lot of that time is just waiting and sitting around, looking at the ceiling, wondering when the teacher's going to get around to you. So it's much more compressed and intense. From the kids' perspective, it's not as long. It doesn't take that long to learn the lessons you need to for the day. You really don't, especially if you intermix it with playtime. It feels like, phew, no time at all, right? it is more work. You just if your intention, how do I want to phrase this? If your intent is to follow your educational goals and to get there, then you will have to do more advanced planning. So it is going to be more work upstream. But when you do that work upstream, the rest becomes easy. Now, some of you folks are just fly by the seat of your pants, let's just see what today brings, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. I would also tattoo across your brain inside, where are you headed, so you know what you can narrow your scope for. So if you just want to go with the day and see how it goes, there's a lot coming at you. I mean, just looking at the internet, there's tons of stuff coming at you all the time. How do you know what to listen to? How do you know what to focus on? So by just having that one statement, that one goal, one thing that you have, that overarching goal for your kids, like there's a reason you're unschooling or homeschooling or following this curriculum or that curriculum, whatever that is, keep that first and foremost in your mind, and that will laser focus you so you can make the most effective use of your time. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I just wanted to share this with you because I know there's a lot of folks getting geared up for homeschooling. If you like what you see, if you want more, if you want us to do the science teaching for you, if we fit into your science goals, which is learning about the world around you by focusing on wonder, discovery, and exploration, you want to go to my website, www.superchargedscience.com. And also we have a free class coming up in 2 days on marine biology. So you can go to my website, click on free online class, and register for that. And we do free online classes all the time. So I look forward to seeing you soon, and I hope this has been helpful. I'll see you soon. Bye.